Spoiler alert. I mean, honestly, if you listen to this podcast, spoilers.
Spoilers.
I could always really go, hello and welcome.
Maybe. I don't know.
You know, I'm just going to leave it at that, and that whole bit just there is going to be our cold open.
Yeah.
People of the universe, please attend carefully. The message which follows is of vital importance to you all. We present to you a case study of one of the most dangerous minds in the universe.
Brilliant.
A history of the lives and times of the renegade Time Lord known as the Master.
The Master. Call me Master.
The choice is simple. Join us and continue listening, or face total annihilation.
Listen.
They are the Master, and you will obey them.
You will obey me.
Please attend carefully. Hello and welcome to Please Attend Carefully, the Doctor Who podcast about the most magisterial of malefactors. I'm Ciarán Moffatt.
I'm Amber Patrick.
And this festive season, we bring you chapters from the lives and times of that renegade Time Lord known universally as the Master. Today, we're looking at several stories from the Doctor Who Christmas annuals. Amber, tell us about annuals.
Annuals are these fantastic books that you get normally for Christmas. If you're growing up in the UK, you probably know all about them. And they can be about anything, not just Doctor Who. There's Thunderbirds, there's just boys annual, girls annual.
Yeah, when I was growing up, my dad used to get Rupert Bear annuals,
Yeah.
which are amazing. They are from the latter part of the 19th century.
Yeah.
The very first Sherlock Holmes story, A Study in Scarlet, was first written in in the Beaton's Christmas annual.
Oh, lovely.
So it came out in an annual. Isn't that lovely?
So, yeah, and they've got little games in them. They've got little factoids in them.
It's keep kids occupied for Christmas Day, right?
Yeah, or I'm not sure if this is just something I've heard of, but I'm not sure if the annual was also like, can we open one on Christmas Eve? And that you'd give them the annual was the one gift they could open on Christmas Eve.
They're cool. They're collectible. Some of the old ones are just off the wall.
Yeah, they haven't. Remember, these were coming out the years of. So, like, I have the first one here with us, and it's 63, I think.
Yeah. Apparently, during the Second World War, during the Blitz, when most of Britain shut down, the Dandy and the Beano were still producing annuals every year.
Yeah, they're a great tradition, which is why we figured we'd do them for this festive episode. They have illustrations which are questionable, and we'll get into. They have facts about things which have not aged well in the past 60 years.
Oh, there's one bit I want to talk about later, which is just like, what will life be like in 2003?
we can't possibly know. There's no way of knowing.
Okay, getting right into it. It's so the weirdest thing about these early ones, because we're doing 1973 and 74 and 1984.
Yep.
So 1973 and 74, they're following a weird style guide where the Doctor is constantly referred to as Doctor Who.
Yes, all of them.
Which is a very weirdly 60s thing. So what I personally think has happened, right, is that the very first Doctor Who annual was actually written by David Whittaker, one of the writers of the original Doctor Who.
Okay.
And he was one of the people who believed that the Doctor was called Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, it says on the front, the Doctor Who annual, but it's DR Who.
Yes, Doctor. And the Peter Cushing version of Doctor Who, that's actually his name. His name is
Yes.
Doctor Who. He has a granddaughter called Susan and Barbara Who. Like,
And in that original annual, there's also no companions. It's just the Doctor in all the stories.
yeah. Or if in some of the early ones, if the Doctor did have a companion, they were often companions purely for the comic strip. Like nothing, like they were completely made up.
Yeah. These annuals pull from what's come the year before
Yep.
in terms of writing. So like the first Doctor Who annual has 2 stories about the Zarbi and the Monoptera.
Yeah. Even though they never, we don't know anything else about the Web Planet ever again.
Yeah, but this annual's like, we're doing all we can. We're getting everything out of that.
Well, the kids loved them, right? Especially the young girls. Like they loved the butterfly people, right? The Monoptera. Giant ants. Who doesn't like a giant ant, right?
Ants! Ants! Ant-Man!
So I collect these. I have quite a few. I'd like to have more. They're very hard to find, especially here, because, you know, I'm amazed I even managed to find the original one. Because like I said, it's like 60 years old now, this book.
Yeah. It's wild stuff. So the writers of these original, like early, but I'd say the 70s, the writers are all staff writers for the company that makes the annuals.
Yeah.
So they're not made by the BBC. They're made by a third party.
But also means we have no idea who wrote these.
Yeah, because, they're paid a salary. They're not paid by, they don't get any credit, which also makes them really, really difficult to date and also makes them very, very difficult to put provenance on copyright. So
yes,
it's weird, but that's why they keep having. So if you read these, and we suggest you do, if you get hold of them, read them. The stories are batshit because they've only got they end like that.
Yeah,
because they have to get out.
There's no conclusion.
No.
Ever. They just stop dead in the middle of what's happening. Maybe on a punchline.
Yep.
That's it.
We're done. We're leaving this now. And also the characters do not behave the way they do in the TV show.
No, like every female companion is just the same woman across every story.
Even though we'll be posting up with this the images I've taken from the annual that show the many ways that Joe Grant is portrayed, and none of them look like Joe Grant. It's insane. And the thing is, they've obviously been given a couple of publicity shots of John Pertwee, and as we'll get into it, it is very, very clear that whoever wrote some of these stories, their only exposure to Doctor Who was having watched one particular story.
Yes.
And we will get to that. Okay, so first off the block, Listen the Stars. These all have amazing names, by the way. Amazing names.
So it's like listen the stars.
Yes.
So we're in Unit HQ.
Joe's working with a Professor Mirko Vetic, which sounds like a condition more than anything. He's got a touch of the Mirko Vetics.
And they're working on ionic vibrations. Yep, they're doing a thing, which I quite like the idea that there are other scientists at Unit working on things. It's not just the Doctor. I don't know why the United Nations Intelligence Task Force could have in-house, research and development, I suppose.
Well, I mean, I suppose like Unit does now, right? They've got dozens of.
Oh, that's true now.
Like nowadays,
we don't really see that in the.
No. In Classic Who, it almost feels like. I mean, if I were again, as is often the case, if I were to write explanation fic for this, it would be that the reason that scientists are never there at Unit is because the Doctor literally bullies them.
Yes.
It's just like, oh, you don't know that.
Yes. So yeah, Joe's taking a break from working with the Doctor to work with this guy instead. And then they
plot device. It's plot device.
And then they decide that they're tired and they want to go get coffee. And as they're leaving the lab, a cleaning woman comes in and she's like, the Brigadier asked me to dust the TARDIS. And it's like, what's happening already? I mean, and also the amount of detail we go into about this cleaning woman's shoes for such a contrived plot point we must have for the sake of this story. When you don't know what's happening and you're just reading it, you're like, oh my God, why do I care that this woman has larger shoes than normal?
I don't even think it was meant to be that she's wearing larger shoes. I think it's that she's wearing sneakers so that she can trip over the laces, whereas she would normally be wearing like slip-ons.
Yeah, it just seems so weird to be like, okay. Like, sure, she's wearing sneakers.
So she wears sneakers and she's mopping, but the thing is, you're right. You wrote this amazing. It's just like, why not just have her slip on a bucket on the water?
Like,
no, she has to trip over the sneakers.
She's a cleaning woman. Just have a bucket of water there. Like, I don't know. I feel like you're overcomplicating it. Well, she's got to fall.
Yeah.
Like, so
Cleaner got to fall.
So I've got to come up with a way for her to fall. Shoelaces, clearly. There's no other way for a cleaning woman to fall. Anyway, the Master is just spying on Unit from his TARDIS. Don't ask how.
You know what? It reminded me of the Curse of Fatal Death with Jonathan Pryce, like watching the Doctor through the window. It's just like, your certain death is now certain. You really ought to turn the microphone off.
He's just watching.
Yeah.
And
the Master's got a voyeur kink.
And yeah, then she falls.
Yeah. And she falls.
She trips over her shoelaces.
And accidentally hits the lever that turns on the thing.
Yeah, I love that she falls with her hand out precisely onto a lever that needs to be moved, because we've got an illustration so we can see what the fall looks like.
Yep. Just to really hammer it home.
This switches on the ionic vibrations machine.
And she makes contact with an evil alien Zex from the system.
Yeah, I think you sent this to me and I thought the same thing. It looks like this is a typo because is not capitalized.
No.
It's sitting weirdly in the sentence that I was like, oh, wait, is this a printing error? Can I not see? Am I missing? No.
Yeah, exactly the same thing I thought.
It appears later as It's GGER, no capital letter. Yeah, Zex from Gur.
Can I read a bit from this now?
Yeah.
Because I love this. Okay. I must be going crazy, she thought. It's just like a voice whispering inside my head. Must have been that bump that did it. There's that voice again. What? What's that you're saying? I am Zex. I am of the system. Who are you? Me? I'm Mrs. Prentice. Yes, I've had a tumble, and I'll be all right in a minute. Then I'll stop hearing that voice. I am Zex. I am Zex. All right, all right. I heard you the first time. Well, I'll pretend you're a real person. Where are you? The system is on the 4th paraleptic level of the galaxy. Look, Mr. Zex, I don't know if you're having me on, but I wish you'd stop whispering. I've got cleaning to do. Wait, your brain pattern is crude.
Like, yeah, it reads like a Monty Python sketch.
It's insane.
Meanwhile, the Master is just watching this on a screen in his TARDIS.
Yeah. And like it even says that he only didn't switch off because she made contact. Like he would have just instantly switched off like, ugh, woman tripped over, I don't care.
Yeah. And then my favorite part of the whole little story starts. Because you see, I thought that we were going to get through this. I was like, oh, there's not going to be anything for me to like, double entendre in this. But oh boy, it was a Christmas miracle. The Master starts tuning his vibrator.
Yes.
To match the frequency of Mirko Vitig's vibrator.
Yeah, he tunes his vibrator so they can communicate.
Tandem vibrators.
Yeah.
When you tune your vibrator.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, you can get those now, can't you? You can get the ones that like operate via the internet. So like you can...
Long distance relationships.
Yeah.
We're going, what is it, long distance to the 4th dimension?
Yeah, the 4th paraleptic. What the hell are they talking about? I've written here, the language that they're using for this is someone who has heard sci-fi words but doesn't actually know what they mean and is just kind of hoping he's using them in context.
Yeah, this will be fine. The kids will love all this jargon.
Yeah, right. And Doctor Who already has so much jargon that you could just use, right?
Yeah.
Like, there is not a single reversal of polarity.
There is a polarity later.
Is there?
In a different story, there's a polarity.
I didn't bother reading any of the others.
But no, I think it's in one of the... It might have been the comic that we're going to talk about later.
Oh,
the
yeah, no,
polarity is in it, but they do not reverse it, and I was very sad. Anyway, the master tunes his vibrator to the same frequency to help Zex possess this woman in a stronger capacity.
Yes. So Zex takes over the body of just the language is being used. I almost wrote but didn't that it sounds like she's being possessed by some form of European prostitute. I am Zex. I am Zex. Okay.
Yeah. So the master's like speaking to Zex and is like, "Can you read my brain waves?" And Zex is like, "Yes, I can." And it's like, "Yeah, see, mine are infinitely more complex and complicated."
Do you like these brainwaves?
Yeah. Well, you can't have them. Stay in the cleaning woman. And he's immediately like mugging again. Like, okay, let's go. We're going to take over the universe together. You and me right now. And it's like, you don't know who this person is.
Yeah. It's just like, let's just see where this goes.
Don't talk to strangers on the internet, Master.
I can't actually remember. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Joe and Marco or Mirko, whatever his name was. Merkin. Yes.
They're like, okay, we finished our coffee. Let's go back.
Yeah. And then the Brigadier walks in erect.
He does. He's very erect as he walks into the break room.
I am genuinely surprised the scientist didn't ejaculate.
Because then they go into the corridor where the master is also erect.
Yes. There's a great bit in one of the Sherlock Holmes novels where a character ejaculates from a second floor window.
Lovely.
For listeners of a younger persuasion, ejaculate is an old word for announce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To suddenly speak. You know, yeah.
You get the idea, right? Okay.
And when we say erect, that was just them standing.
They're standing
tall.
straight. Right up there.
Yeah.
Just right up.
And they're like, that's the master. Like, also the master's here now.
Yeah, the master's just in, like, before he was looking through a window, now he's just there. A wizard did it, you know.
Yeah, he's there. Don't worry about it. They spent a lot of time discussing the shoes, so we don't have enough time left to discuss actual, like, physically where the characters are. And I realized at this point, I was like, oh, is this meant to be a pun? Because the cleaning lady's woman is Prentice. Is this meant to be the master and apprentice?
Yeah.
The master and apprentice? I don't know.
And so, yeah, the master and the cleaning lady, like the brigadier gets knocked down.
Oh, she shoots him with the broom.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I don't know how.
She's got an amazing broom. There is a great picture we'll talk about later.
We'll put all the pictures up on our social media for people to go and look at.
My favorite thing about it is cool guys don't look at explosions. Like, that's...
Yes, the cleaning lady who's in front of an explosion. Yeah.
But and they find Mike Yates has been attacked with his hands over his face, so the artist didn't have to draw it. And the doctor is finally here. Like, the doctor and the brigadier
runs to get him.
Well, the doctor and the brig have been out, right?
Yeah.
They've been out buying. They've been out shopping. Like, and they've come back, and the master's here. And then the doctor works out exactly what's happening and who's taking over the cleaning lady, and he builds a contraption. Okay.
And there's a lot of talk about, get me that egg cup. Why an egg cup, doctor? I need it. I need to the vibrations into the egg cup and refract them. That kind of stuff.
So this is the point where we have to say that the artist and the writer saw only one Doctor Who story, and it was the Time Monster.
Yeah.
They've only seen every single picture you see of the Doctor. He is wearing his outfit from the Time Monster. He builds a contraption just like in the Time Monster, which, as we pointed out, is the worst bit of the whole story.
Yeah, so this one he builds in the annual, there's an illustration of it, and it's like 2 teacups like inverted on top of one another, a bottle of milk with like some little paper straws tied to the top of the teacup and the bottle of milk, an egg cup, a knife, a cork, and a fork bent over the top.
Yep.
And he builds that, and he uses it to reverberate the
get rid of
vibrations
Zex.
back, and
he wants none of this Zex.
Yeah, he says no.
No Zex, please. We're British. And gets rid of it. And the cleaning lady, oh, thank you, dear.
Oh, what's going? Yeah, she's like confused about where she is, and they're like, oh, I must have dozed off, and he's like, I'm sure you did. And that's the end.
Yeah, and like you just like it concludes without any discussion of the master being inside Unit HQ and destroying part of it. And I've just written, "Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cut Nigel?"
Like he's just there, and none of them are like, "Oh my god, he's breached Unit HQ." Like they're like concerned he's there, but no one's questioning
It's
how
just
did
like,
he get in.
It's like mice, right?
Yeah.
It's just like I've got masters again.
Like, and they just stops dead.
Absolute,
And that's it.
absolute nuts.
Yeah, because they don't deal with the master; they only deal with Zex.
The only other thing I have to say about this story is that the very first picture of the master in it does not look like any actor. It looks like Dan Starkey. Okay, and I've put up, Eva, you can see there, I've put two pictures side by side. It's him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will put that up on social media. It is Dan Starkey.
Which is weird considering all of the images of Pertwee are clearly taken from the Time Monster.
Yeah, right.
But then this image, they just went for it. They were like, I can draw him. Sure.
I reckon what happened was they watched the story, but I reckon they got given publicity images of John Pertwee because it has to look right.
Yeah.
It's the Doctor. It has to look right. Because otherwise they would have got Joe right.
Delgado drawn from memory.
Yes. we have Master at home. Master at home.
Yeah.
They put more effort into the cleaning woman than the Master.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love like cool guys don't look at explosions. I kind of want that to be my DP from now on.
Cool guys don't look at explosions. The flames are hot, but their heart is chill. Walk fast from that boring explosion and don't think about the people you've killed.
So we move on to Out of the Green Mist, which is in the same annual. I'm guessing this is like the year that the Master appeared.
Well, no, if they've watched Time Monster, it's the year after.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But like the Master's like this is 2 years on, right?
Yeah.
So like the Master is everyone's just like the Master and the Doctor. It's like you said, he had to stop, like he wanted to stop being the Master because he wasn't getting any other work because everyone assumed he was going to be in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He's as much a part of Doctor Who as the Doctor now, right?
Yes, he is. So Out of the Green Mist starts with Jo returning from a day off. And it's like midnight. She's been like out.
Yeah, and it
Girl's been out.
and she's like stumbling. It
Yeah.
kind of implies that she's been drinking.
Yeah. Jo's got a life.
Good.
Yeah, I
Good.
know.
Good for you, girl.
Yeah, you go out and she refers to the Doctor as half genius, half pixie.
Manic Pixie Dream Boy.
Yeah. Yeah, this one straight away is not as good as the first one. It just takes forever to get to what it's trying to say.
Right? And like when you've got such a small amount of space to work with, why are you wasting it?
Yeah, I guess because they don't know Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So they've got to just spend time talking about things that are just general.
I think anyone who reads this, who writes fanfic, I think you should feel better about your fanfic.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
So the Master again is just in Unit HQ. He's just in there again. And this time he's wearing the Brigadier's clothes. I should phrase. Jo has found that everyone's asleep.
yeah, everyone's asleep and there's a green glow coming from the Doctor's room. And she goes to like go in there and the Doctor's like, don't come in. And you're just like, oh, the Master's obviously in there.
Yeah, because everyone's asleep and we can see the illustration of him in the Brigadier's clothes, you know.
And then she opens the door and there's this green cloud talking to the Doctor. And you're just like, oh, the green cloud obviously put everyone to sleep or something. And maybe it's in league with them. And it becomes so convoluted. And it ends up being that like the Doctor was talking to this green cloud, totally unawares of anything else that's happening anywhere else in the building.
And then the Master comes in wearing the Brig's clothes, comes into the room.
Yeah.
And the Doctor's like, last I heard, you were doing some skullduggery on the other side of Pluto. Like, you slimy reptile.
Yes.
And it's like, okay.
The Master also says, my mind absolutely drools, Doctor, which is disgusting.
Yes, there's some interesting words in this one. But anyway, the Master's here. He must have something to do with this green glow, right? Nope.
Nope, nothing.
No. The Master's got some lads.
Yeah, he's got some lads. lads.
Yeah. The lads put them all to sleep with sleeping gas.
And like that's the thing, this is two completely disparate stories that have nothing to do with one another. Also, it doesn't really chalk up to the fact that that the master put everyone in the building to sleep
Yes.
and then took the brigadier's clothes to get past the guards that were put to sleep.
Yeah.
He's just, look, at this point he just wanted to strip the brigadier down,
I
right?
think- yeah. He just wanted, I want to wear that.
I don't even think it was that. It's just like, no, I want to strip him down, but I need an excuse to do it, so I'm going to get in his clothes.
And the doctor was just too busy with this green cloud to notice that everyone else was asleep.
And the master's just like, I love the feel of fatigues.
But yes, lads, we don't see the lads.
No.
The lads are around. Then the master fires a gun at them, and oh my god, this is over-explaining. The amount of time and effort that is put into Tolkien levels of descriptions about the gun being fired, the sound the gun made, the fire that burst out of the barrel as the bullet left the chamber and it's all through. And like, oh my god, just say he fired the gun.
Yep.
Like, again, we don't have time for this because you've explained nothing about what's going on.
Yep. Apparently the clouds come from a multi-dimensional super universe. I love it. It's so bad.
And you might think that we're describing this story quite chaotically or like, we're jumping around. No,
this is in order.
This is how it happens.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if I was a kid, I'd have skipped this one because I'm an adult and I do not know what is going on.
Yeah.
It's so convoluted.
And it literally, again, it literally ends. Another cloud comes through and says, hey, the first cloud was an evil cloud. And it's just like, we can prove it. And then they freeze the master and he can't move. And
Yeah.
then the brigadier comes in wearing a greatcoat and nothing else.
Yeah, just underwear and a greatcoat.
And he's just like, right. And then two men come and take the master away, and they basically, like a statue, like hoik him up and like drag him out.
Yes, and they undress him, and the brigadier comes back in dressed in his clothes. I'm glad we bothered to do that
Yeah.
storyline. That really, contributed to something.
Yep. And they said they're going to round up the lads, whoever the lads are.
Whoever these lads are, they're going to get them. The mist possesses Jo, the good mist, and they puppet her to like do some machinery thing with the computer to.
Yeah. Like I lost the will to live.
Yeah, and presumably a naked or in his underwear master is in another room, just laying there.
Yeah. And then he gets sent off to prison in Sea Devils.
That's the end of that story.
Yeah.
That it stops there.
I mean, look, I don't mind
of
as
us
like a
are speechless.
snapshotty, slice of lifey type story, but nah.
I have a theory.
You have a theory?
I think that I'm an annual writer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just write stuff. I spend all year just producing short stories.
Yeah.
And then perhaps I mix and match them to the annuals that I need to write.
Right.
And maybe Doctor Who were like, hey, can we have some master stories this year? Because, the master's really popular now.
Yep.
And they're like, didn't write one of those. Oh, this one. I'll just slap him in.
Yeah.
Because there is no point to the master being in this story because all he does is his lads put everyone to sleep. He walks into the room wearing the brig's clothes. He fires a gun that does nothing. He gets frozen by the good cloud, and they take him away. That's it. What's he in this story for?
But the thing is, like, with some small tweaks, you can make it work, right? So, like, no lads. He just did it, which is why he needed the brigadier's clothes to get close enough to, like,
a disguise.
And the reason he's there is for the cloud. Like, there are bang, 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 bang. Like, I feel like there are ways that works.
Yeah, he sees the doctors doing
you're-
something, so he comes in to try and stop him and steal it for himself.
I think you're right that, like, this story was obviously written beforehand and they just sort of crowbarred it in to make it work.
It's almost exactly the same as the first story as well.
Yeah.
There's a thing possessing someone.
Yeah, good point.
Like,
Yeah.
good for Jo. Jo's the star of this one. Good for her, girl. You go out.
Okay, on to the next one.
So I didn't realize this next one was even in here, but as I was flicking through the annual, I was like, whoa, hold up. There's a comic
Yeah.
in here that's got the Master in it. So we didn't even know. So 2 for 1 in this one.
3 for 1.
3 for 1.
This is all in the first annual. The Time Thief.
There's only really 2 things to say about this comic. It's a really just weird rip-off of the Time Monster.
Yep.
Because, like, it starts with warships being attacked by, like, World War II bombers
Yeah.
and old galleys, like vehicles that shouldn't be in this timeline.
Yep.
And then the second thing to say about it is that it looks like the Master owns a twink club on another planet.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Or like, and the thing is, in that panel you sent me that makes it look like he owns a gay nightclub. They're all like pink but when you see them in like another panel, they're bright green, and they're basically just the Mekons from the Dan Dare comics.
Yeah. Yeah, this comic I think has the best story of all the ones in this annual. Because it's like a warship's being attacked. Okay, send out the Doctor. The Doctor gets a hovercraft.
Which they drop from a plane?
Yeah, it's really cool.
What?
Joe and the Doctor and then Joe and the Doctor jump out and like scuba dive
Yep.
down into the ocean.
My favorite bit in this whole thing is they scuba dive down and they hit a force field. And they're just like, oh, we need to go get a force field disruptor. They go back to the hovercraft. And then it's just like, with the new force field disruptor, they now go back. I'm just like, you've just wasted so much time.
Yeah.
They had to get down and then back up and then
just have the Doctor pull it out of his toolkit or something. Yeah.
But like the exact quote is, back to the hovercraft. I need to make a force field disperser. Now armed with a force field disperser. Oh.
And they go through the force field and they find like a portal to what they discover to be another planet.
Yes. It looks lovely.
Yeah. They go through and they're like, oh, great. It says that like the Doctor and Joe arrive at a gloomy fortress. But then the illustration full on makes it look like a nightclub.
It absolutely does. Like all these bright colours. I wrote a thing. I'm just like, looks like the Master's a fan of Mondrian.
It's like LED paneled walls that are all flashing different colours. It looks like he's DJing. Everyone's just got a vest on.
Vest slashed to the navel. Like.
Yeah. It's incredible. And we're going to be releasing a line of merch featuring...
And it's weird because their haircuts are quite popular now.
So the Doctor and Joe get arrested by the Twinks. They escape. Oh, no, that's right. Joe says to the Doctor, Doctor, why don't you just hypnotize our guard the same way the Master hypnotizes people? And the Doctor goes, why didn't I think of that? I'll do it now. And he does.
Oy.
And they escape that way. And I'm like, okay, they did not watch Doctor Who.
No.
These writers do not know this property.
No.
And the Doctor like crosses some wires in the Master's console because he's planning to bring all these Twinks down to Earth to like through the portal in the ocean to like conquer it. But like then the Doctor's cross these wires. So when he turns the machine on to do that, it fails.
Yep.
Yeah. And guess what? That's the end. Love these annuals so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end of that particular annual, and now we move on to Doorway to Nowhere.
Doorway to Nowhere.
I hate this one for the fact that the first page is green. Like they've got green artwork behind the text.
It's very difficult to read.
Yeah, it's so hard to read.
At least they're trying something different, right?
Yeah. So it starts off by introducing us to Giles Winston, who is described to us as the greatest physicist that Earth has ever produced. Yeah.
It's a big call, I guess.
Yeah, he's missing. The Doctor thinks that the Master is behind it. We're just
When is the Master not?
we're just cutting straight to the punch here on this one.
Yeah.
I was though a bit confused by the start of this one because Joe says that they haven't seen the Master for months, so how could he be behind it? Then the Doctor's like, oh well, we were out of our lab dealing with the Master, so he didn't see this letter from Winston that was dated like 7 days ago, and I haven't received another one. And I was like, wait a sec, you just said you haven't seen him in months.
Ryder just slaps keyboard. Just hits typewriter with face.
I do love that even though this is written word, it's not filmed. They still go to like an abandoned power plant.
I like that the Master's plan in this is basically like, I'm going to start my own universe with blackjack and hookers.
Yes, we're jumping way too far ahead there.
Sorry.
They go to this abandoned factory power plant thing. The Master's in there. He's hanging out in there. He does his usual gloating when they come across him. And he basically is like, I'm going to leave for another dimension. Where the Time Lords, they can't stop me from doing what I'm doing. I want to be evil. Without them, I'm going.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad plan in the end. Like, surely the Doctor should be like, yeah, no, it's fine. Like, just get out of here, you scamp.
Yeah. But the Master's like, I want you to come with me. Doctor, come with me and we can be free of the Time Lords.
Yes.
And
We can play across the stars, yada, yada,
I
yada.
was a bit like, oh, it's quite nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he does this a lot. But, like, it's just one of those things that's, the Doctor does. Maybe a future Doctor would have accepted this.
Yeah. Oh, another dimension. Lovely. Well, he tries to sort of needle at the Doctor, doesn't he? He's just like, you've got a broken TARDIS. The Time Lords have made you stay here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of like appealing to that whole, well, in my universe, you wouldn't be grounded. You could do whatever you wanted. When
I'm in charge.
Yeah.
It's the dialogue in this is very, I've written here, it is either, it's like AI wrote it, or it's like when people claim that I made AI watch this and it came out with this. Like, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, it's all good, but it's also all very paint by numbers.
Yeah. Also, the Master in this scene calls the Doctor Doctor Who.
Yeah. Just doesn't feel right.
No, it's a gut punch. It makes me feel really gross. Makes me feel dirty. I don't like it. So the pages of this, right? Because the annuals need to be educational. There's these little factoids just on the pages breaking up the paragraphs, but they're not in reference to anything on the page.
Like, if they were, it would make sense.
Yeah. So there's just at the bottom of this page, there's just this little like red box. Like, the Master is threatening the Doctor with a gun, and it's just like, a rocket works on the principle of reaction. The action of the rocket exhaust streaming rearwards produces a reaction in the opposite direction, which thrusts the rocket forwards. Sir Isaac Newton, the great British scientist, pointed this out in his well-known third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Just kills the mood dead.
Yeah, just stop reading the story for a moment to just read about rockets. Because, we should say, because we've said that the Master's got his own universe that he wants the Doctor to come through to him. This is actually a physical door.
It's a Stargate. Only it's a imagine a Stargate, but if it had a giant metal door on it, like a
bank vault.
Yeah, like a bank vault. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's just opened it and he's like, look through there, behold in wonder, my new universe, let's go together now. And they look through, it's like the Garden of Eden, I suppose, in there. It's paradise. Like
that's nice.
Yeah, like they see, there's animals in there. Like, there might be humans in there. We don't know.
Well, they do actually say, don't they?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, they look like humans. It's just like, yeah, but, we're going to subjugate them.
Yeah, because that's right. Because we find out that the Master did kidnap Giles under false pretenses. He was like, hey, I'm going to build a new universe.
He wanted a third. That's what he wanted.
Yep. And it's weird because Giles is up for it.
So up for it.
He's like, Doctor, this is going to be great. You're going to come with us. We'll all go together in there.
Jesus.
And the Doctor's like, he's lied to you. He's going to subjugate everything inside that universe. And the Master's like, how dare you? Like, I would never.
I sometimes think that maybe our problem isn't that it should be that we Not that we market ourselves as the only Master podcast. We should market ourselves as the filthiest Doctor Who podcast. I love the image.
Yeah.
The Master's like, yes. Giles is like, come on, Doctor. Join us. Jesus.
How does this one end?
I don't think it does. Like the others, it just sort of...
So they're all standing there in front of the doorway to nowhere, which it's not a doorway to nowhere. It's a doorway to another universe.
He tries to get Joe through the door. They get out of it, and the Master gets trapped in the other universe, which he's not going to stay there long, right? Like that's the whole.
That's also what he wants.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can we get like real deep cut here? Is this a Splinter where Gaddis's master lives?
Jesus. So yeah, Master ends up on the other side of the door and shoots his own machinery.
Hey, girls, look at my machinery!
Da 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 da. Yeah, Master gets trapped. They all get out. The end. Like, there's not really anything more we can talk about this.
Again, they just never. It just ends all the time. There's no conclusion. So great. So the Master's stuck in a different universe on the other side of this door that's closed. That's the end.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about how Joe looks in this?
So these two annuals, I'll be putting images up on socials. Obviously, they have promotional pictures of Jon Pertwee to work from, right? They don't know what Joe looks like. And it is impressive how many different styles she is drawn in and how she never looks like her. There's one that literally looks like a 50s sci-fi pinup girl. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
I like the one that's got her hair cropped super short, like a bob kind of haircut. And it's like, no, like she's got short-ish hair, not this short. That's not even close. Did they not get Katie Manning rights either? That would seem weird that
I think they just couldn't be bothered. I personally just think that, like, and like you can tell from the language that's used in the stories, right? Because the Doctor doesn't speak to her the way they speak, like, oh, my dear child, and things like that. These are written by old men.
Yeah.
These are written and illustrated by old men.
She's mischaracterized a lot too. I mean, I do love her coming like home drunk from a night in the town. That's fine.
I mean, absolutely she would.
But again, I assume with these annuals, they're just churning out images and art and just praying. Like they just don't have the time to stop and carefully, like only the pictures of the Doctor. That's the only artwork that's like time is taken.
Yeah.
Because that way you legitimately sell it as Doctor Who because it looks like the Doctor.
But I would be willing to bet, right, that the only things that are created specifically for that year is the Doctor Who stuff. Like the rest of the stuff, I'm sure that's recycled. And I'm sure it's recycled amongst other annuals. So like I'm sure there was a Boys Space annual that had exactly the same space information in it as the Doctor Who one.
The only other annual I have one Stingray annual. And yeah, it would be interesting to know if you got the same year.
Yeah.
But there's every chance that if you got a Doctor Who annual, you also got a Thunderbirds or a Stingray or a Captain
probably.
Scarlet. Like, you know, those are crossover fandoms. Like, what kind of content's in the Rupert B. Bear?
Oh, the Rupert Bear one, it was mainly comics, I remember.
Okay.
They still make it, though.
Picnic content. Kite flying content? I guess you could have little things like that.
Yeah. Okay, final story before we start talking about just annuals in general. Flight to Nowhere. This is from the 1983 annual. Not Door to Nowhere, Flight to Nowhere.
Again, we're going somewhere. This isn't going to be to nowhere.
They're at Heathrow. Like we've got 5 Tegan Nissa.
Yes,
right?
Jump forward.
5 Tegan Nissa.
We should frame it. We've done these ones because these are all the ones that are Delgado.
Although that's questionable in this story. So
yes, but it looks
like Delgado.
The illustrations make it look like him.
Yeah. The Doctor, Tegan, and Nissa are at Heathrow Airport. The Doctor doesn't want to be there. Nissa's just happy to be anywhere, and Tegan is wanting to see a friend, and the Doctor owes her a favor. So it's her friend from flight attendant school. I'm being all modern. They do constantly say like air stewardess and things like. I was just like, we'll just say flight attendant. The characterizations are actually on point in this story.
I guess if you get lucky and the annual worker assigned to this is a Doctor Who fan.
By this point, they're being written by Doctor Who writers.
Oh, okay.
By this point, like
Sure.
10 years later, they're finally being written by people who understand the show,
Okay.
which is good. They're waiting to see Tegan's friend from flight attendant school, and Tegan finds out that her friend doesn't know who she is. And
Gasp.
yeah, gasp. And she has to convince the doctor that there's something wrong. And the doctor takes one look at her and he's like, oh, yes, she's moving all robotically. She must be hypnotized. I've seen it 1,000 times before. So he already suspects hypnotism. They go to the gate of the plane that she's just got on.
Also, shout out to back in the day where you could just be around the airport without getting a flight. You're at the gate, but it's not your plane. Like, just hanging out at the airport.
So yeah, the doctor runs to the gate and talks to the security guard. It's just like, who chartered that plane? Oh, it was a Mr. Rupert Masters of the Masters Corporation. Okay, we've got hypnotism and we've got Mastery McMasterface. And the doctor still goes, can you describe this man to me?
Yeah, he needs to be sure. He doesn't know. He's not gonna, anyone could be called, what was it?
Rupert Masters of the Masters Corporation.
Yeah, that could be anyone.
I just love Rupert. That's just, okay, fair enough.
Is it? No, it's too early for a Rupert Murdoch reference. No, I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
Oh, actually, no, that's actually quite apt. It could be Rupert Murdoch. Yeah, that could be a Murdoch joke.
Maybe?
Possibly. I mean, this is around the time when he was like, you know, buying up newspapers in the UK and firing people left, right, and centre. Anyway, the plane starts taxiing away, and so the doctor is just like, haha, quick, back to the TARDIS. And back in the TARDIS, explains to Nyssa and says, he's just like, he relayed the description of the man, and Nyssa went, the Master. Which I'm just like, this whole thing happens. He's having this whole exchange after pelting through an airport.
Yeah.
Was she in fucking duty free? Like,
yeah. Why? Where were they?
What's happening? Why is she not there? Nyssa plays no further part in the story.
No.
Just wanted to really. This is the last time you even acknowledge that Nyssa exists.
I was there too. It's like, yeah.
So the doctor decides to pilot the TARDIS using the flight plan that he got. Again, like the 80s, right?
Yeah, just has that.
Oh, I have the flight plan of the plane. I can't do anything nefarious with that. And so he decides to pilot the TARDIS to inside the plane, right?
Yeah.
This is actually a really nice little scene. Okay, I love it. The TARDIS materializes, but it's like a foot off the ground, and the TARDIS is just like, oh no, you know what, we're just gonna not do that, and so it rematerializes a bit later, it's just a bit further off the ground. They step out, and then okay, sure, the hold is pressurized, which he's made sure to say the hold is pressurized. I'm like, but surely it's not heated, so like it would be
freezing cold.
Yeah, freezing cold. Like if anyone has ever listened to Cabin Pressure by John Finnemore, that's great insight into planes. But then the Master pokes his head around the door, and you're just like, okay, so the Master knew he was coming. It was all a trap in the end.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. This plane has turbo engines.
They go. What is it with the Master and plane based schemes?
Yeah,
because this is like shortly after Time Flight.
I said I wondered, did Chibnall get this? Annual as a child.
And they go up to the the deck, and there's a giant hypnotic spinning wheel on the front wall of the plane, hypnotizing everyone in their seats.
I do love that the Master does have a like small army of stewardesses.
He does.
His beck and call, like they appear behind him like menacingly,
all carrying guns.
Get him, girls.
Sounds like an Austin Powers villain. Like, so he's hypnotizing all these people who we learn are civil servants.
Yes,
and then like it's so convoluted. It's so convoluted because the stewardesses, like the flight attendants, they're all androids.
Yeah.
So they're android replicas of real people, and he's hypnotizing these people so that he can then take them and replace them with android. Just hypnotize them.
Yeah.
Just what's
Yep.
with the android? Like, it is literally just it's the android invasion, right? Like, it
Yeah.
is the serial The Android Invasion, only with less Kralls.
It feels like they, as the annual writers, didn't want to actually put anyone in danger on a plane. I don't know. It's weird. Nowadays, like, you just don't do this story nowadays, I think. Yeah, it's really odd.
But I do love giant spinning discs. It's such a 60s way to hypnotize someone.
Yes, because nowadays it would just be in the screens in the backs of the chairs.
Yeah.
But obviously
Just
they
a
didn't
giant
have that.
spinning. It's the Prisoner. It's the
Yeah.
Avengers. It's that
Yeah.
sort of. I love it. Yeah, it's just Android Invasion with extra steps. He like activates something like a button in the forehead of like the Tegan's friend, only not her friend because it's an android.
Yeah.
One thing I do like is that the illustration on that is very clearly Sean Young from Blade Runner. I took one look at it, I'm just like, that's Blade Runner. So that's a good joke.
So his plan is that he's going to replace all of these government aides, security advisors, private secretaries with these android versions of themselves.
Basically, he's replacing the cast of Yes Minister.
So, yeah, he's going to replace them all. Are they all America based? Like, why are they flying? Why has he got them all on the plane? Does it say that?
Yeah. They're going there because they're going to the Bermuda Triangle. Because then, right?
I know.
It's
I know it's a Bermuda Triangle story.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
God. So yeah, it's the Bermuda Triangle because then he can disappear into, I'm going to say rip because I do not want to spend the next few minutes talking about a giant red gash in the sky. Just saying that that word is used far too much in this short story. For such a small word count, too many of those words were gash. But yeah, so he will go through into this other dimension where he will swap people over.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously going to take all the civil servants to this dimension, then put them and put the androids there, and then.
Why? So convoluted. Like,
Yeah, well, it's so that he can steal the plane, but it'll just disappear as like a blip because
Yeah.
it's the Bermuda Triangle. Even though that's not how that works.
no.
Not how. Yeah.
No, not how that works. Do you remember when there will be a certain group of millennials who this will probably only apply to, and I expect anyone younger who's in like Gen Z and stuff won't get this.
Yeah.
But there was a very specific time in our childhoods where the Bermuda Triangle was a lot more relevant
Yep.
than it is now. Like, you knew. If you were a millennial child, you knew about the Bermuda Triangle
Yeah.
for some reason.
And like, especially seeing as now we know, like as an adult, it is all bollocks. Like, there is
Yeah.
nothing wrong with the Bermuda Triangle
Yeah.
whatsoever.
You just growing up thought it was going to play a bigger part, one of Earth's
Yeah.
greatest mysteries. No, it was nothing. But we all just, and evidently in this annual,
Yeah, everyone thought that.
everyone did think that. It's so weird. It's one of those tiny reference things that's like, I don't think I've ever heard about the Bermuda Triangle after like the 2000s.
Yeah. Like the internet, right? Like, once the internet became a thing,
Yeah.
it suddenly.
Because I swear I probably would have watched more than one documentary on TV about the Bermuda Triangle. And it was all weird stuff like, oh, it's the
Maybe there are still people who believe this.
oil, what is it, like in the water, the methane count or something makes things not float. They sink in the Bermuda Triangle because there's a higher level of chemicals in that. But like, it's all shit like that. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I suppose nowadays it's been replaced by more, I don't know, kind of, I want to say subtle, but like, it's been replaced by different conspiracy theories, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've got flat Earth, we've got, moon landing fake, we've got chemtrails, we've got 5G vaccines, like all the other shit.
Yeah, the Bermuda Triangle's the old.
Yeah. It's old hat now. No one
yeah,
cares.
no one cares about that. Anyway, back to the plot. Tegan breaks herself free with a nail file because
Yeah,
they're
they've
all
been strapped down. Yeah, again,
Yeah.
Nissa plays no further part in this story. The doctor gets. I love that the very, very quickly the doctor and the master end up on the floor.
Yes, they fight one another in the cockpit, and I love the illustration that goes with it because it's basically just the master shoving his hand in the doctor's face. while like they hold hands, like their other hands are doing. It's so funny, the illustration.
And of course, as usual, the master hits his head on the control bank and is knocked out.
Yeah, which I think he should have bailed in a parachute. I think that would have been funnier. If I had been the rider, I'd have had him escape.
Yep.
I think that would have been hilarious.
But of course, you should love the line, the doctor stood over him panting for breath.
Yeah. It's just like, I think this is what made me think of Spyfall.
Yeah.
In the two of them squabbling in a plane. Like, I want to know if Chibnall read this story as a kid.
Almost certainly. I like the fact that the doctor basically pulls a master in this story. He's just like, quick, through here.
Yes.
And like they all disappear in the TARDIS. And he takes all the civil servants and like ushers them out of the TARDIS. And what I love is the story ends with Tegan going looking for her friend in Heathrow. And I'm just like, but she wouldn't be, would she? She'd be in the master's domain because that's what he does. He takes the people and then replaces them. He's not just going to leave a person running around that he's replicated, surely.
I think, are we getting confused? Are the flight staff just hypnotized and only the civil servants are going to get replaced? Because it doesn't need to replace the staff.
If you want to go back, you can see the bit on go back a page. You can see where he's like.
Oh, that's her?
Yeah, that's her.
Oh, never
Yeah,
mind
yeah.
then. Never mind.
No, you're fine.
Because it says here, it would not be long before the hypnotic effects of the Master's Sinister Light show wore off.
Yeah, of the civil servants, because they were the ones being hypnotized on the plane. Yeah.
Right, they're hypnotized.
Yeah, they're hypnotized on the way to being replaced by... So convoluted. Again, Nyssa plays no further part in this.
Nyssa was in her room.
Oh, that's... Yeah, okay.
Nyssa's like, in her room.
I'm going to my room.
Searching the airport.
Again, like, no references about the master, like, because, like, if it's the master, again, it's just like, how many times can Nyssa deal with seeing someone who stole the body of her father,
I
right?
know.
How?
Yeah, this might be my favorite line of all time. The doctor wondered what had happened to the master in the gash.
I literally put that in the notes. Would he survive? Would he return? With a nod to inevitability, the doctor realized that the answer was definitely, very definitely, yes.
Yeah, he knows the master can survive gash.
So yeah, the master in this looks like Delgado. He acts like Delgado.
Yeah.
The thing is, if that's the case, then this is the very earliest example of a doctor meeting a master out of sync.
Yeah. They don't treat it like, he doesn't act like it's the old master.
Well,
he's not surprised.
No, again, like this is...
But yeah, could this be the first case?
I think so. I think, again, because I don't think he behaves like Ainley.
No, he doesn't behave like Ainley.
No.
And he's definitely drawn to be Delgado, I think. 5 is very unfortunately drawn in all of these panels, and so is Tegan.
One of the main reasons for this is, as I think we touched on, is that they couldn't attain the rights to Anthony Ainley's likeness.
They failed, yeah.
They failed to get
whatever
the rights.
that means.
Yeah, whether it was a dispute over money or whatever.
Or
like
they didn't do it in time, or he wouldn't do it, something.
But seeing as it turns up in the next one has got him not having his face, like it's multiple years that they don't have his likeness.
Yeah.
That's an ongoing dispute. It has to be.
Yes.
So in other stories, which we'll get to another time, we get what they call the generic master, which looks a bit like Ra's al Ghul and big capes.
Yeah,
Lots of big pointy capes.
He's kind of like a fusion between Delgado and Ainley, kind of like
pointy hair and pointy beard.
Yeah. So which was your favorite?
Which is my favorite?
Yeah.
I think probably I think probably Flight to Nowhere.
Oh,
was
really?
My favorite. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
My favorite, I think I'm gonna have to give it up for the nightclub at the bottom of the ocean on the other planet. Yeah. I really like that one.
See, I either like Flight to Nowhere or I like the incredible silliness of the cleaner and I am Zex. Who are you?
that one was good too. Yeah.
It's very silly.
Some of the annuals have, I think it's only in the later ones, the one that I've got here that's with that Flight to Nowhere was in.
Mm.
it's got like a little behind the scenes thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever seen this before. This is a prop that the Master uses.
Oh wow, what's that from?
It does not say.
Must be from the
It just
Planet
says
of Fire,
the
maybe?
Master's remote control device.
Huh.
I don't know what it is. I've never seen it before. I've never seen an image of it before. And then there's some behind the scenes Castrovalva costume like designs.
Gorgeous.
And I've got another one annual here that's got a Melkor and Nissa concept art that are really cool.
As we touched on, annuals don't just have stories and comics in them. They also have lots of other stuff. And especially like these early stuff, it was stuff that's sort of tangentially linked to Doctor Who, but isn't.
It's space stuff.
Space
or
stuff.
Science, mostly.
So I want to read you this thing here. It's from the 1974 annual, and it's called A Space Age Christmas. I love retrofuturism. I love it. I love it when this stuff happens. Okay. So. Even with all the super automated, mass-produced, computer-controlled technology we're evolving every day, there is still no reason why our age-old traditions should ever disappear. And so Christmas in the year 2003 might not be that much different from the festival we all enjoy today.
Oh, boy.
Christmas cooking by computer. For instance, it might well be that everyone's Christmas dinner will be cooked with the help of a home computer. This will be good news for the housewife. All she will have to do will be to set the dials and sit back until the meal is cooked. The computer will make sure that the correct temperatures are maintained, and when the food is done, to a turn, it'll switch off the heat.
I mean,
We kind of already have that.
Some ovens
Yeah.
are smart enough to do that.
This heat could be a microwave, as is used in some restaurants today. I'm not going to a restaurant that uses cooks with a microwave. Or it might be the new cold heat, which uses infrared rays radiating from a series of tubes. Tube
heating.
This cold heat, which is called cold because it does not glow red or appear to be hot at all when you look at it, will be used for grilling. A plastic pine. The traditional decorated tree is very unlikely to be a real tree, but will probably be a plastic one, just as some homes already have today. But to make it seem like the traditional Christmas festival, the plastic tree will probably be impregnated with the smell of pine. If pollution and the effects of the population explosion go on at the present rate, there will probably be very few trees left in the world, and any forests which do still exist will be protected by stringent laws.
2003 and there's no trees left. Well, you know what? We did it.
Yeah, and they're also entirely wrong on the stringent laws.
Yeah, no, the government hate the trees. Get rid of them.
Right? Cards and presents. Christmas cards might well be a thing of the past by 2003. Already, people can speak on the telephone to friends and relations thousands of miles away. And by 2003, you might even be able to see the person you're talking to, if the video phone comes into common use. I mean, be fair, they got it.
They got that one right.
Yep. Christmas messages might possibly also be sent on recording tape. And as this could well be the thickness of a human hair, such a tape would fit neatly into a small envelope. There are two theories about the kind of Christmas presents you might expect in 2003, and no one can say exactly which of them is correct. Because of the incredible advances in automation, machines might well be doing most of the work in our factories and offices, and so everyone might have much more leisure time. Many people believe that this will lead to a revival of handicrafts of all kinds, both because everyone will have more time for the craftsmanship involved, and also because of the sheer unattractiveness of the many mass-produced goods. Or everyone is mentally ill, and they stay home crocheting to hold back the darkness, and they have to sell it because of the fucking gig economy.
Yes, they are monetizing their free time because they have no other choice.
Yes. Oh, you should absolutely buy local, though. So if that theory is correct, Christmas presents in the year 2003 will probably be handmade garments, hand-bound books, and beautifully made objects in such material as silver, gold, porcelain, and fine china.
Oh, every kid just wants an iPad.
Everyone kids wants an iPad. Actually, that's the next bit. The opposing theory argues that these handicrafts are being widely forgotten, and there are fewer and fewer craftsmen, so that interest in handicrafts might eventually die completely. If that happens, your 2003 Christmas present is more likely to be something like a miniature pocket computer, or maybe a ticket for a day trip in orbit round the Earth.
I remember when they were trying to do that.
Yeah.
There was a point. Richard Branson, was trying to sell. You just go straight up and you just hang there and then you just come down.
And I will see my dream come alive at last. I will touch the sky. And they're not gonna hold me down no more. No, they're not gonna change my mind.
A peep into the future. Watching Doctor Who on television is one thing, but how would you like to live in such an advanced era? Well, look no further than 2 or 3 steps into the future, and you'll be on the threshold of a life just like that. How would you like to live in an asteroid, cook your meals in a rocket hurtling through space, or get your post by rocket? Don't laugh. Literally, this is the first line. Don't laugh. It's already happening. Some parts of Europe already have a rocket postal service, although these rockets don't actually leave the Earth's atmosphere. In the not too distant future, an American businessman is going to be able to write to an associate in Europe and get an answer the same day. Yes, but you don't know why you're right.
Yeah. Yes, but...
Who knows? One day you might be waiting for the postman to bring you a letter from the moon. Love that.
No, I'm sorry.
Meal in a moment. I'm sure, even with all the excitement of traveling not only from country to country in super short speed times, but from planet to planet too, you won't forget about eating. And we don't want to come up against any problems there. Scientists are working day and night now to see that there aren't any problems, so I shouldn't worry unduly. The only thing is that you might be spoilt for choice. You could have food bars for a short journey, food in a tube for slightly longer trips, and really adventurous cooked meals for marathons. How about this menu for a rocket journey into space? All right.
Oh, gosh.
Breakfast. Fruit juice. Porridge with a sprinkling of sugar. Ham. Bread and butter. And coffee to finish. Lunch. Vegetable soup. Spaghetti with meat sauce. Bread and butter. Stewed fruit. Chocolate drink. Dinner. Orange juice. Turkey. In freeze-dried cubes. Mashed potatoes. Buttered peas. Bread and butter. Rice pudding, chocolate peppermints, and coffee.
Oh, God. I swear to God, if I go 3 hours without some bread and butter. Also, I liked chocolate drink.
Chocolate, yeah.
Not milk. Chocolate drink. I like that.
They have to be very specific about
But also
that.
they specify that the turkey is in freeze-dried cubes,
Yeah.
but not the ham.
Yeah, right?
Or the spaghetti and meatballs.
Right.
How about instead we just give you a protein paste, which is probably more the...
More your speed.
like like more the reality. Here's like your highly dense protein bar or paste.
And also, there's another feature. The way to an astronaut's heart. The way to any man's heart is through his stomach. And it's more about astronaut food. I'm like, did they think that kids only cared about food?
Yes.
Is that
It's Christmas, they're hungry. But yeah. Or they just had so much research on it, they were like, we just have to use it all.
It's in the bag. Eggs and bacon? Certainly. Third bag from the left. Oh, dear. Like, this just sort of pales into comparison when you see videos of astronauts on the ISS doing their tasks, like having dinner or washing their hair or something like that, which are always fascinating to watch. But yeah, like this sort of thing is just so stupid.
Yeah, just whatever they could find to tie it in.
Yep. Oh, and again, once you're on the moon, your problems aren't over either. It's even more difficult to eat and drink there. Again, just constantly food, food, food.
As for him, if he matters at all, there won't be any shaving, collars, ties, or pockets. He'll be fitted with a telephone, a radio, and containers for coins, keys, and candy for cuties.
No, were you attending carefully this week? But some of these annuals do come with quizzes.
Yep.
So we have questions of who.
Questions of who?
And this annual was released on the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who. So,
Is it that year, is it?
yes, there are 30 questions. I might not read all of them. Maybe I will, and we'll pick out the best ones. This year, Doctor Who celebrates the 20th year on our television screens. It has become part of everyday life. But how much do you know about the Doctor, past and present? Test your knowledge by doing the quiz.
Go on then.
The Doctor changes his old body for a new one every so often. How many different Doctors have there been since 1963?
I'm assuming, there's been 5. Right.
Yeah, yes. Can you name the actors who played all the Doctors since 1963?
William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, Peter Davison.
Yep. The Daleks are the Doctor's most infamous enemies.
Did they say exterminate?
No. Can you
Okay.
name their leader?
Oh, Davros.
The Doctor has an enemy who is like himself, a Time Lord, and who later turned renegade. These days he is played by Anthony Ainley. What is he called?
The Master.
Yep. I'm glad you knew that one. Who first played the part of this enemy?
Roger Delgado.
Does it say that?
Does it say Roger Delgado or does it say Edward Brayshaw?
Imagine if it said it.
that
it's
would be
not-
such a weird confirmation, wouldn't it?
Roger Delgado. The second Doctor used to wear a very distinctive article of clothing. Can you remember what it was?
The second Doctor, he wore a hat in like one story. Is it meant to be the hat?
Yes, he wore a very tall hat. What was the profession of Sarah Jane Smith before she became the Doctor's companion?
A journalist. I mean, it was her profession before, during, and after.
Over the years, the Doctor has battled against many different sorts of enemy. Can you remember a monster who looked rather like an angry Humpty Dumpty in a surgical collar? Who was he?
Monster who looked like an angry Humpty Dumpty in a surgical collar. Jesus Christ.
Just think of another big famous Doctor Who.
Is it
villain.
just Daleks? No.
No.
Angry Humpty Dumpty. So angry egg. Like a cone. Like a
Surgical collar.
surgical... surgical...
Think of another big Doctor Who villain.
Sontaran?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know
What?
They've got a round head, I suppose.
Okay. I mean,
Right, these creatures sound very cold to me and warlike. Who are they?
Ice Warriors.
Yep. That's it. That's the quiz.
Okay, so we have a jingle of Joes and Joe. Okay, here's one for you. Who is the Joe who is Doctor Who's companion?
Joe
That's
Grant?
such a terrible sentence. In many, why Joe Grant, of course. But do you know a Joe? This is not Doctor Who related,
Okay,
right?
great.
This is just
Great.
random.
So you get the easy Doctor Who questions, and now I'm
yeah.
going to do this.
Honestly, can you name a Joe that rides a horse? It's not a person. It is just a word that begins with Joe.
Jockey?
Yes. Right, we're
Okay.
we're off. Okay. A Joe who is a kangaroo.
Joey.
Yes. A Joe that is glad.
Joyful.
Yep. A Joe that makes you laugh.
Joker.
Yep. A Joe that riders wear or that River Song wears. Jodhpurs.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. A Joe that is a flower.
Oh my gosh.
They look like daisies and smell like cat piss. Sorry, they look like daffodils. Jonquils.
Oh.
Yeah, no. A Joe that brings bad luck.
Gosh. Joe that.
It's a biblical reference.
Oh. Wait. That brings bad luck. Is it like. So it's Jonah or.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Jonah. There you go. A Joe that is part of the face.
No. I was going to say jaw, but that's a J.
Not part of either of our faces. We're still quite young and supple. I didn't want to say the word supple. Sorry.
Part of the face. No?
Jowl.
Oh.
This is terrible, by the way. I hate it. A Joe that writes the news.
A journalist.
Yes. A Joe that is a medieval tournament.
Joust.
A Joe that is a unit of energy.
A jewel?
Yes. Well done.
Yeah,
This was the
I don't know
worst thing I've
flowers.
ever done.
Yeah. I don't know flowers, I guess, or pants.
This is the worst thing I've ever done. Okay. Cool. That's it. That's all for this episode of.
We didn't do what did we learn?
Oh, sorry. What did we learn?
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's okay.
None of this is canon. None
No.
of this can be canon. The master can just walk into you whenever he wants.
Apparently. No, A1, Doctor, A1.
Yeah. But no, he can just stroll in and then they're just like, oh, and he's gone. He's out of here. He knows how to tune a vibrator.
Yes. Yep.
He's
Him and the
the
Doctor
same-
end up on the floor.
He's the same size clothes as a brigadier.
Apparently.
Yeah. They can swap clothes. That's good for them.
Doubles your wardrobe.
It really, really wants to go to another dimension, like all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
He can't just have a base somewhere. He has to have a base in another dimension.
yeah. He doesn't want to start his new world without the Doctor. He wants him there with him, which is, forget that we're going to bring everyone to servitude. He
Yeah.
wants him there with him.
Yeah. Why can't you just accept me for who I am?
Anthony Ainley refused to give his face up for these.
Fair.
Oh, they're charming.
I mean, yeah. Look, the thing is, I think they serve their purpose admirably, which is that they divert you. Like they're entertaining. Like if you got this on Christmas, you'd read it, you'd go through, you'd play the games, you'd do the word search. And that's the thing, like the games and like the word search and stuff reference other parts of the annual, so you have to read all of it to
Right.
fully appreciate it. And
Yeah. If you were a little Ciarán on Christmas, got given an annual, you'd have treasured it.
yeah, it's weird. Like I suppose again, like I grew up in the 90s,
Yeah.
so like Doctor Who annuals were not really a thing. They had the yearbooks every couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Doctor Who annuals were a thing, and then as an adult, and like I think I'd like to start getting them. I think I would now.
Yeah.
I'm just like because the most recent one's just come out. I think.
Oh,
So,
has it? Because I've got 2024 one
Yeah.
in this pile.
Yes, you have. I saw that. It's just like it's weird. I've never really been much of a sort of segment reader and stuff, but like I've recently just started reading Doctor Who magazine again, like properly, and I'm just like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. So yeah, something like an annual I think is really gonna be good. But yeah, you're right. It's the sort of thing. Yeah, on Christmas you'd get. I can be quite antisocial when I want to be. So like going to Christmas with like an annual is just like I'm just gonna sit in the corner and read my annual.
Don't speak to him. He's reading his annual. Put the annual down, Ciarán. Come to the table for Christmas. No, the kids' table.
Knees up around my ears, just sitting there.
Talk to the weird cousins. Oh, no, you're the weird cousin.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That I was the weird cousin. My cousins are way more successful than I am.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we had a great time going through these, and I think we'll probably do it again next year.
Yes. Make it an annual thing. That's it. That's all for this festive holiday episode of Please Attend Carefully. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that with each new installment, you come to understand, appreciate, and maybe even obey the master. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be updated on new episodes, and we also really love to hear from you. Amber, how can listeners get in contact with us?
You can find us on Tumblr, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube with a link to everything in our show notes. But if you want to get in contact with us direct, then please send us an email at pleaseattendcarefully@gmail.com. We really love any and all messages, asks, comments, and tags, so don't be afraid to get in touch.
That's right. Well, I've been Ciarán.
And I've been Amber. Thank you so much for your support. Until next time.
After all, it can't hurt you to listen, can it?